my name's Lindsay Dart. I'm one of the managing directors at Protiviti based in the UK. Those of you who heard me before, I love golf. Unfortunately, when I play it, it doesn't love me back. Also, unfortunately, I also caught COVID last week. So if my voice gives up halfway through, please understand why. We were delighted that Matt joined us in 2020 at Protiviti, joining LPGA member and fellow major winner, Jennifer Kupcho. She won the Chevron Championship earlier this year, as our brand ambassadors and representing our values of innovation, inclusion, integrity and commitment to success. And let's be honest, I think you've both shown that in spades. So well done.
Thank you.
I'm pleased to be joined again by, as MC, by my colleague Dave Thomas. Those of you who've seen him before will actually remember Dave's actually a professional golfer, but has now found his true calling with Protiviti, leading our managed services business in the southern half of the UK. And Matt, the offer still stands. If the golf doesn't work out, you can always join us at Protiviti.
Good job. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Excellent. To us, though, he's better known as Professor Spin. More of that later, I'm sure. We also have another colleague, Charlie Stokeld, who used to play junior golf with Matt in Yorkshire. So not sure whether you remember him, Matt, but Charlie did.
Apologies, now, Charlie.
Yeah.
I certainly remember you, Matt.
I know that I don't need to introduce Matt, but just for the record, he won the US Amateur in 2013, has currently 8 career victories on the DP World Tour and the PGA Tour, and is ranked number 10 in the world. Since we last spoke to him, Matt's won the Estrella Down Andalusia's Masters, and as we all know, the US Open, becoming only the second golfer after Jack Nicklaus to win both the US Amateur and US Open on the same course. But probably more importantly than all of that, Matt was the golfer that won #1 caddy Billy Foster his first major. So well done, Matt. So once again, we're speaking to Matt ahead of playing the Genesis Scottish Open, back again at the Renaissance Club in North Berwick, and next week is playing at the 150th Open at the home of golf, St Andrews. So first of all, many congratulations, Matt. Thanks very much for joining us today.
Thank you. No, nice to be back.
Excellent.
I believe it's been a year.
It's scary, isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're delighted. Strangely, we've got an awful lot of people on the call today. I can't figure out why, actually, but so be it. We've got lots of questions for Matt, but if people want to put questions that they have, please use the chat function over at the top of the screen. There's a chat function. You can put in any questions you have there. Whether we'll decide whether we ask them. Matt will decide whether he answers them. The one thing we're not going to do is talk about live golf, because that's just boring. So, Matt, I guess let's just start with a general, what's life been like for the last 2 weeks then?
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy. I mean, finished obviously Sunday, then Monday night flew to New York. Tuesday did a full media day around New York. Finished that. Wednesday, I ended up playing golf with my manager, my brother, and one of my best friends from home. And then Thursday to Sunday, I kind of had some time off in down in New Jersey, and then Sunday I flew back to England and spent the last week in England. And now I'm here. So I'm in Ireland right now for the JP McManus Pro-Am. Played that this morning. But yeah, it's just been 100 mile an hour. You know, it's nice, but it's different that everyone kind of wants a piece of me and wants to talk. And one thing I don't understand is, though, you know, I've had the same question a million times, and I thought people would have seen my answers by now. So I'm trying to think of some fun ways to mix up the answers, but I won't do that today. Don't worry.
But we've put a photo in the chat of you and Joe Tarantino. For those who don't know, he's our CEO. I absolutely commend you for not letting go of the trophy, because I think Joe quite fancied that for his study.
Yeah, it's I've had it as much as I possibly can. Yeah, I've literally held on to it as much as I possibly can, and taken it pretty much everywhere with me. So, but yeah, life's been I cannot complain one bit. It's everything I ever dreamed of, and more, to be honest. So yeah, it's been special.
And the word was you had a call from Jack Nicklaus, is that right?
I did, yeah. So right after we finished, I don't know whose phone it was, but someone passed me the phone. It was Jack, and he was just saying how he was proud of me and just wanted to congratulate me, and yeah, it was great. Really, it was a very surreal moment, and we ended up having a conversation for a minute or two while everyone was just staring at me on the phone, which was a little bit odd.
Yeah. And have you made any changes to your schedule for the rest of the year as a result of the US Open?
Yes and no. I mean, all of a sudden, like, I probably will get into Tiger's event, all being well, at the end of the year now. I played it last year, but I was an invite last year. So I'll get into that. And then I was supposed to play in about 4 weeks, which was the Wyndham Championship, just before the start of the playoffs. But I'm going to take that week off now, because it would have been 4 events in a row, and it's just nice to kind of relax, get my bearings, and I have 3 weeks off after the Open, which is really nice, because I can kind of figure things out and see what I'm going to do.
And is 3 weeks the sort of longest period you would play for, or?
Yeah, it has been. I played 4 weeks this year. I played the Florida swing, so I played. Where did I start? I played Bay Hill, the Players, Valspar in Tampa, and then I played the match play in Austin. But obviously that last one was match play, so it was kind of a little bit different. But then ideally we try and maximize it at 3. US Open was actually the last one of 3. I played 2 weeks before in a row as well. So it's the schedule tends to kind of figure itself out. You kind of not forced, but it ends up working well, whether you tend to play 2 in a row, a week off, 2 in a row, a week off, or however it is, just because of the events that are on at the time. And for me personally, it's important not to play too much in a row, just because it's I mean, if you can call golf strenuous, it is kind of strenuous mentally and physically after sort of 4 weeks in a row.
Yeah. Interestingly, Ryan Fox, I think, has played 9 weeks in a row, which is quite
he's
quite a phenomenal performance.
He's different. He's I think because he can't get back to New Zealand, so he's
got nothing else to do.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And have you made any changes to your sort of backup support team since the win? Any changes?
No,
there?
not since the win. No, and I won't. I'm not looking to sort of bring anyone else on or anything like that. So I would say I have a decent sized team as it is compared to other players. So it's a good level right now.
Dave, do you want to?
We have quite a few questions in the chat, and we'll get to them, and lots of them are focused, Matt, on negative thoughts still in that bunker on 18, but I'm sure we'll get to that. There's a lot made about the course and how Brookline sets up, to your game. Clearly, your previous success there. And I've read a number of comments that you made around that and the diligence around your planning, and the notes that you made. And I'm sure we'll come on to that. But what do you think it is that sort of match, your game matched up with Brookline and the course there? Why was it such a great fit? And do you attribute any particular area of your game to the victory there?
Yeah, I think what was so good about the US Open week was just the golf course setup was just really helped my game. It was tight off the tee. The greens were small. You had to have a good short game out the rough and the bunkers. And the putting everyone's kind of putting from similar distances because the greens were so small. So for me, it all played into my hands, to be honest. It's one of the first golf courses I've seen, first tournaments I've seen for a long time, if ever, where the rough was graduated. So you've got fairway, you've got semi, you'd have like another first cut of rough, which if your ball was in there, you could still advance it onto the green, and then there'd be thicker rough, and then there'd be even thicker, then there'd be like, you know, really tall 3, 4, 5 foot stuff. And that to me is what I've, you know, I'll be honest, I've complained about it a lot before, the golf courses where it is literally just fairway and then thick rough, and it doesn't really take into account accurate hitters. You know, guys who hit it straighter are going to do better on the graduated rough because they, you know, they're not hitting it as wide. Oddly enough, though, the one shot that I did hit very wide, I got away with and had a perfect line.
I was going to say, it was so far right that, yeah.
Well, you know, so winning requires luck, and that was my luck, and I took advantage of it. So, but yeah, the golf course itself, it's fantastic. It was in great shape, and like I said, I think that the factor of the rough was a big help to me.
There is one question in the chat just on that. You know, there were clearly a number of criticisms around the length of the rough, particularly around the greens. I think everybody saw that photo of Shane Lowry in practice, you know, below the bank. They're trying to sort of hack it out. What were your thoughts around sort of the severity of the rough, particularly around the greens, Matt? Do you think it was a fair test? I'm sure you do, but do you think it was a fair one?
I definitely do. The week before was actually worse. We played in Canada.
Yeah.
And the rough around the greens there was actually very bad. It was just so thick, and I'm a good chipper out of the rough. My ball tends to come out quite consistently, so you kind of know what it's going to do. But for me, I thought the rough around the US Open was very fair. You could still get you could still hit good shots from it. You could still chip it close. You could still stop it. But, you know, it was important just to miss in the right areas. And I think that's when you got caught out, is when you're missing short side or in the wrong areas. And that's obviously when all of a sudden you feel like the rough's grown 3 or 4 inches in a matter of minutes.
Great. We're going to get on to the increase in driving distance, some of your stats, but I've got a great question here. Tony Cheatham, did you learn anything new about yourself over that weekend?
I wouldn't necessarily say I learned anything about myself. I would say I maybe proved what I already knew to everyone else. If I'm honest, like if I look at my wins and they've tended to be coming from winning positions. So I've either had the lead going into the last round, or I'm 1 or 2 back, and you know, then I get into the lead early and I hold on to it. I've always felt that's been a strength of mine, is that I've had the ability, you know, to hold on to what I've got, and not be, you know, not sort of be fazed by the pressure, I guess. So that's something that I've always, you know, been very positive about in myself, and believed in myself because of that. If I look at my other results, sometimes I just don't. People think, oh, you know, he could have won or he should have won, but I've never really. There's a lot of times I don't actually get close enough to the lead to sort of challenge. You know, the USPGA is kind of an example I use. You know, I started the day 3 behind, and I was 4 behind after 1. So, of course, you know, I've got 17 holes left, but when you're 4 behind, you're not really in a position to. And it wasn't that I was going to chase from 4 behind. I wasn't trying to chase. I was just trying to make pars and sort of stay in the game. But it's easy for people to probably think, oh, you know, he should have won that. He could have won. But when you look at that, you fall behind, and all of a sudden it's not as easy as it may seem. And I think of other events I've played where I've not been in the final groups and finished top 10s and stuff like that. And for me, it's just about trying to get myself in those winning positions more often, because then I really believe I back myself to hold on to them.
So honestly, how confident were you going into that week?
Into the week, I was confident. Yeah. I mean, listen, I'll be honest, I'm not really a person that will turn up to Scotland next week, or there's certain places, regular weeks, Canadian Open, or where else, the Valspar Championship this year. I'm not turning up thinking, yeah, I'm going to win this, like I can beat everyone. And I don't know, some players might think like that. There is certain weeks I feel very, very confident. DP World at Jumeirah, for example, Cron, Montana is where they have the Mega European Masters, and obviously Brookline as well. I think just having that previous history of success and the confidence that you get from that, and belief that I've done it before, there's absolutely no reason I can't do it again. And particularly for me, I feel like I've got better as a player the last 3 years, every single year. The more you go back to these places, you think, well, I finished 12th here last year, or 2 years ago. I finished 10th or 8th the year after. This year, there's no reason why I can't go and finish top 5 or win. But I'm not really sort of a outwardly confident person in terms of saying I'm here to win and I'm going to do it and stuff like it. It's just that in my mind, I knew that I'd had success at Brookline, and I knew I felt comfortable around the golf course. And there's certain shots that you hit on different golf courses which are uncomfortable. There is no doubt about that. There is golf shots. It doesn't matter how many times you play them. Augusta, 12, 11, 13 second shot. There's so many. But I look back and there's only one hole where I felt uncomfortable the entire week, and I played it in 3 over par, and that was because I didn't play it in the US Amateur, and that was the par 3 11th. That was the only hole that sort of I didn't feel comfortable on it. I'd not played it a lot. Every other hole I just didn't see. Not that I didn't see a bad shot, but I wasn't stood over the ball thinking, oh, what if I miss it there or miss it there? It was just, I just felt so comfortable over it. So, and that is probably one thing I learned, was how massively important it is to be that way.
And St Andrews, what's the confidence level at St Andrews?
Yeah, it's different. I've never played in an Open Championship there, so it's difficult to sort of comment really. I've played the Dunhill Championship a few times there, but it's a different setup. It's much easier. The flags aren't tucked, and I'm looking forward to seeing it. Obviously, I feel like I could play well most places, if not anywhere nowadays. So I think if I can play well, then I'll have a chance. But there's always, it's horses for courses. There's some courses that suit me better than others, and some that suit others better than me. So I'm looking forward to seeing how it sets up, really.
Is it forecast to be dry and windy?
I think so, yeah, which would be lovely.
Sorry, that would be
lovely
good for you?
Yeah, I'd love that. I'd like that, yeah.
Proper links golf.
So just on that, Matt, I'm sure many of us were watching intently throughout the week at Brookline. One of the things that struck me was your ability to outdrive the likes of Will Zalatoris and even DJ on a number of occasions, whilst keeping it on the short stuff. A lot's been made about the stack approach and how you've incorporated that into your training, and a couple of people have asked the same question. So could you maybe talk to us about how you've incorporated that into your training and how that's yielded such huge gains? For those that don't know, I think Matt, you averaged just in excess of 310 over the week, and if you look back a couple of years, you're averaging back 287. So put on some serious distance. Maybe you could just talk about that for a couple of minutes.
Yeah. So I use it's basically a golf club with sort of movable weights on it. At the end, it's called the Stack. It was invented by a biomechanist, Sasha McKenzie, and his partner who works at Ping, Marty Chertson. So I've been using that probably for 2 years. It's like an app on your phone. It's basically like going to the gym. It tells you 6 swings with this weight on, and then you have a rest, and then 6 swings with this weight, and then a rest, and 8 swing, whatever. And the program varies. I've done a few different ones now. So But like I say, I've done it for 2 years. Done it a lot this year. Been really on it with it, and I feel like it's shown, and it's really sort of improved my driving massively. Not only distance, but just the control that I feel over the shot now. It's really nice.
Very good. Got
Have you done anything different? Have you done anything different physically, Matt? Sorry.
No.
Are you like lifting more in the gym, or are you how have you transformed physically?
No, nothing in particular. I'm doing the same stuff that me and my trainer have been doing the whole time. There's nothing different that I've done. I would say I'm lifting more just from being in the gym, just from doing it regularly. I would say probably the last year or so I've been very, very, very consistent with being in the gym and making sure that I don't really miss sessions. I sort of went through a period of the summer where it was a bit lax and sort of struggled with the sessions and just sometimes missed them, a bit tired. And so yeah, it's this year I would say we've had a high level of consistency for everything we've done, and I think just having that generalized strength has been a big help in controlling, like hitting it, swinging it faster too.
Matt, we have a number of questions, as I've mentioned, about how you felt stood over the ball in the bunker on 18, but thinking about it in the wider context in terms of how you felt during that final round. You appeared so composed on the first tee of the final round, smoked one 320 right down the middle, and then a really controlled approach shot into the first. Thinking about some of those key moments throughout that final round, could you talk to us maybe about mindset, how you maintain that composure during one of the most challenging points of your career, no doubt?
Yeah, I mean, obviously I had the experience at the USPGA a few weeks prior, and that was all completely new. I'd never been in a final group of a major. I'd never been within final 5 groups of a major, I don't think. So I learned a lot on the spot in that major. And when I say on the spot, I mean on the spot in the US Open. I didn't really have enough time to kind of sit down and digest what happened and what went wrong. And I've thought about it, of course, but I never really made any notes. I never really sort of did anything about it. So one thing that I did think about was I was kind of a little bit rushed, and a few times during that round at the USPGA, I didn't ask Billy, my caddy, where the wind was. I just, went, oh, well, it was kind of that direction on the last, so it'd be similar direction here. Never really challenged any clubs that Billy kind of pulled, like we discussed. I kind of just went with him. Didn't necessarily think about where I could miss it, or, okay, well, the flag's at the back. What if this is a flyer? And so there was all these different factors. And when I look back during the US Open, whilst I'm playing, basically, the whole week, not just the Sunday, these things added up, and I said, okay, well, this is what I need to do better, or this is what I need to think about. And Sunday, Billy said himself, it's the best we've ever worked. I didn't miss one single part of the routine, every single shot. For the 68 shots we hit, I didn't miss one thing, and that was something that I was actually really proud of, as well as that was the difference. I made sure everything was deliberate. I made sure everything was committed. I wouldn't say slow down, because I'm not a slow player. And I think that was one thing people were saying was, oh, you look really fast. You look really fast. And people don't watch me, because that is me. I'm ready to go, and that's what it is. But yeah, I think for me, during Sunday, it was just about trying to be sort of slow, deliberate, and just make sure that I have that consistency throughout the whole round, and not just a few shots. And that was what was so important.
Clearly there are a number of key turning points, particularly after the swing over the first sort of 9-10 holes. You think about that downhill putt on 13. Both Lindsay and I and a number of people that are attending this afternoon have commented, you seem so relaxed, and again, that drive on on 15. Again, you just seem to maintain your composure. Could you talk to us about the adrenaline levels, how you cope with it, how you managed it, how are you feeling?
Yeah, I mean, I said it to a few people already, but you know, when you're in the moment, and particularly obviously when it's going well, but having that feeling of pressure and leading and like I love it. Like I love being involved in it. I love being in there, and I love just. I said in my press conference, I was like, I love winning, and you know, I just love winning, and that's like what it is when you're in the heat of the moment. That's what's important. You've got it. You do have to love it, and you've got to fight for it, really. But there was definitely moments that I, you know, I hated, and it wasn't necessarily I hated the moments. It was more that I hated that, you know, I could play so well for 12 holes and just hit one bad shot, and then all of a sudden it could be away from me, and the guy makes birdie, I make bogey, and it's a 2-shot swing, and now I'm 4 behind or whatever it may be, and it's things like that. You get all that way, and I hated it because it hurt so much if it happened, and I think that's the way I kind of realized after when I said to Billy, I hate Billy. That was kind of like the actual answer. It was just because I didn't want it to get away from me. But in terms of like my attitude whilst playing, and it's just so great to be under that pressure and particularly to perform. And like I said earlier in the call, I feel like that's a strength of mine is to handle it well and perform well whilst under the pressure. Yeah.
Brilliant. We've mentioned Billy quite a few times now, and I'm very conscious of time. So lots of people have asked the best bit of banter that you can share clearly on this call, conscious of language. You know, what was he like afterwards? You know, give us a little insight. He was clearly extremely emotional and understandably so on the final green. What was he like?
Yeah, I think that, you know, I think that the big thing for me, for Billy, was it was a sense of celebration, but there was bigger sense of relief. You know, this is his 40th season as a caddy, and I think relief was the overwhelming emotion more than anything, which is great. It's great, but it's also a shame that it is that. You know, it is a shame that it should be more celebration. You know, it just because he's not won a major as a caddy, it doesn't define him as a person or as a caddy. You know, he's still in my eyes, he's the best caddy I've ever had, and he's one of the best caddies in the world. You know, there's no doubt about that. So whether he won a major or not didn't define him as that. And I think that was sort of a big thing for him, and it meant a lot to him. And I obviously, for me, I was delighted that it was me that could do it with him. I know he said to me in the past when we first started working, he believed that I could do it. And then sort of certainly this year, I've had a few close calls, but when I say, again, like I said earlier, not close calls where I've been in final groups, but I've had really good finishes. I've had top 5s, I've had top 10s, and he just and I'm getting frustrated because I'm like, I want to be better. I want to be challenging more and more. And he's telling me, you know, it's going to come. And literally we had the same conversation the week before, like Canada, I played some great golf again, and there was some bad stuff in there as well. And he told me, he's like, you know, just keep doing what you're doing. There's big things coming around the corner. And for me, after Canada, I was like, there's 3 big tournaments coming up. There's the US Open, there's the Scottish Open, and then there's the Open. And I was like, one of these 3, I feel like, I genuinely did feel like one of these 3, I could have a really, really good result. I wouldn't say I could win, but obviously how comfortable I feel around Brookline, I felt like I had a good chance. And obviously from the moment I got there, I you know, it felt right. And obviously it all sort of clicked into place, and to have Billy there and experience it and win, it was it was fantastic. And after the round, he was he was more than happy.
Let me just read a quote from Billy, Matt. Matt treats me very well as a human being, not just a caddy. But then when he was talking about other golfers, he said they were all different, different levels of psychopaths you're working for.
Yeah, that sounds like Billy. That sounds like Billy.
So, do you talk us through the final round? Were you talking to Will Zalatoris much?
No, not really. You know, I'll be brutally honest. I prefer to play with people I don't know, not on a personal level, just because sometimes I feel like if I know them personally or get on, it can be a little bit lax and end up having a conversation and you just start chatting away and you kind of. I prefer just to be in my own little world and just me and Billy do what we do. So we talked a little bit, but really we barely really sort of spoke about anything, to be honest. So I just find it easier that way.
And do you look at scoreboards much?
All the time, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, and I look at them all the time, and I said this a lot in interviews. I feel like anyone who doesn't is a liar. You know, I just don't understand how you can't. They're huge, big things with your name on or not with your name on in front of you, and I just don't understand how you can miss them. And anyone who's like walking down the fairway like this, like that's not helping you either. Because now you're thinking, well, I can't look at leaderboard, and then you've got your shot. So. Yeah, I like to know where I am. I like to know what the situation is, what I maybe need to do, what I don't need to do. You know, I like to. I guess I've always been that person. Just in general, I like to have as much information as possible.
So on the 18th, there you were. Was it a driver? Was it a 3-wood? I think you'd hit driver all week.
I did driver all week, yeah, and then decided to hit 3-wood on Sunday. It was a big conversation me and Billy had all week. The way I looked at it, I was explaining it to someone the other night. It was driver I'd hit twice now into the right rough, and I'd hit once in the fairway and twice into the right rough, and both shots from the rough. I had good lies, but I didn't hit good shots from them, and there was a bit of unknown. Was it going to be a flyer where the ball just goes miles without any spin and could have gone out of bounds over the green, or is it going to come up short? Is it going to spin more? So there was that unknown, and I figured when Billy said I think it's 3-wood, I figured, well, if I hit 3-wood as good as I can and it goes straight, it's in the fairway, it's never running out, there's no issues. And I think in that scenario, I feel like I had to think of what the best case scenario was. I couldn't think of the worst case, which was if I hit it right, it's in the rough and you're a long way back and it's guaranteed bogey, or if you hit it left in the rough, it's also tough. So I just think I had to, you know, try and be positive and put a good swing on it. Unfortunately, I put a terrible swing on it, and the rest I took care of.
And in terms of distance, what do you hit a 3-wood then versus a drive?
I mean, driver probably this year is looking like 310 total. 3-wood this year is probably looking like 280ish, 280, 275 total. But that's not through the air. So
you walked
255, 260 through the air.
Yeah. You knew it was in the bunker.
Well, I didn't know it was in the bunker once I hit it. When I hit it and I saw it finish, I didn't know it got to the bunker. I didn't know if it was going to be short. And I was praying that it was going to be short. I was hoping for a lie in the rough because I've been terrible out of fairway bunkers this year, and I mean really, really bad. And
yeah, you were.
I got up there and I was like, the lie's actually. I was hoping for a good lie. The lie was really good, and then sort of we had a good line. Like if I hit it dead straight, it was going to be on the left side of the green. And yeah, it was kind of pretty straightforward in terms of the shot, the club, and everything. And I hit it, and it just started fading way more than I thought it was going to. And yeah, it was just best shot I've ever hit.
Well, Brad Faxon said it was the greatest golf shot I've ever seen, was the quote on Sky when I was watching
Very kind of Brad. It was very kind.
We were all glued to the TV, I can tell you.
I think Azinger then compared it to Sandy Lars' shot at Augusta, right? So you're in great company.
Yeah,
absolutely. So genuinely, did you think Zalatoris would make the putt?
So I was stood there on 18, obviously, and I had that putt in the US Amateur back in 2013. I had it in the morning of the final, and I remember it because I made it similar distance, and I remember it moving a lot. And I remember on Monday or Tuesday, whenever we played 18, I practiced it a few times to that hole location to the front right. I knew it would be there. That's like the hardest hole location. And I was hitting putts, and it was breaking a lot. It was breaking, and I made them again. I hit 2 practice putts in particular. I remember I made to like I have like a fake plastic hole, and I made them both to the plastic hole. So I got there, and I was like, I know this putt. You know, I've hit it quite a few times now, and I knew it. I hit mine, and it stayed out. It didn't really move, but I hit it with a good pace, so I was happy with that. Anyway, then I walk over to Billy, and I'm watching sort of Will hitting his putt, and I looked over. There's an electronic board, and as there is at most tournaments, and it said on the board, it said 14 feet, make percentage 24.9 or something %. So I was like, well, that's a good start. That's 25% make percentage. But then I bumped it up to 50% because I figured, well, he's been putting well, so I feel like that's about law of averages. He's 50-50. And he hit the putt, and I thought it was a good looking putt. I definitely thought it was going in. I thought it had a chance, and then it missed. And it was just like the voices in my head were loud. Yeah.
Well, your brother certainly enjoyed the celebration. That's
yeah.
Noticeable image on the TV.
Yeah.
So you've bagged your first major. What's next?
Hopefully another one in 2 weeks.
The next question. Can you do it, Matt?
I don't know. Like I say, I've not played St Andrews in a major before, so that's going to be a first. But I don't see why not. Like, I feel like my game's been good this year. I feel like I just got to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm looking forward to sort of getting back into routine this week, playing the Scottish Open, sort of seeing where I'm at. That'll give me a decent indication of how things are, and then I'll take it from there into the Open. Obviously, I've scored poorly today, but hit it well tee to green, and I feel like that's kind of more important for now, is to make sure that's good whilst I've had a bit of a break.
And any changes to what's in the bag for St Andrews versus
maybe purely weather dependent. I won't put it in until last minute. I've got a 2-iron the other day, but I'm not. If there's a light breeze or like a 1 or 2 club wind, I won't put it in. It has to be like really, really wild to put it in, to be honest, just because I don't use it year round, and it's a comfort thing really, whether I'd use it. So.
Okay. Dave?
Well, I couldn't have a chat with you, Matt, without talking about spin rates or something, but I'm not going to go there on the spin, I promise, this time round. But just in terms of the clubs, clearly, we talked last time about some of the changes that you've made. Just if you wouldn't mind, really quickly, a few people have asked, Matt, just run through us what's in the bag right now.
Yeah, so in terms of, do you want brand names? Do you want sort of
everything? Go driver all the way down to your putter.
So I'm using a Titleist TSI 3 driver. I have a Ping G4 something 3 wood, a G425 7 wood, I210 4-iron, and then I have S55 5-iron to pitching wedge. I have Titleist wedges 52, 56, and 60. And then I use a Bettinardi putter. So
very good. Are they clearly Ping irons, right? For those,
they are, yes.
Yeah. The Daily Mail described you, Lindsay, I'm stealing your thunder here. The Daily Mail described you as a nerd about your recording of all your shots, and there's been much made of your prep, and I've seen lots of photos on social media of your yardage book from Brookline years ago, Matt. But can you give us some insights about what you use the information for, and maybe how you've been working with some of our colleagues at Protiviti to help drive some value out of the numbers that you've seen?
Yeah, so with Protiviti on that, so I forgot how to say Nick's surname, but a gentleman, Nick, who works for Protiviti in the US, he was doing some stuff and helping with my practice data. We've kind of gone a different path, so we've not done any of that for a while now, but I basically just record all my shots on the golf course. I record most of my shots in practice. Practice is difficult. We're trying to kind of just compare practice to practice, see where I was in 2021, for example, to today or whatever it may be. And then on the golf course, I'm pretty much recording everything. What club I hit off the tee, where the wind was, where it finished, how far it finished from the target line, how far I've got for the next shot, what lie the next shot was, what club I hit, how far away that finished from the target and the pin. So we've got lots of different things that we record, and to me that just it just makes my game more accurate and know where my weaknesses are, know where my strengths are, know what I need to do, and rather than just spending all my time. For an example, someone might not have a clue where they're weak or where they're strong, and they're spending all the time hitting 6-foot putts when actually they're the best 6-foot putter in the world or the best iron player in the world, and they're spending all the time hitting irons on the range. It's just trying to basically use the data to be efficient with my time and my practice and be smart with what I need to do, really. And that's been a big thing, and particularly now it's going to be even bigger just to manage my time even better and do smart things and work out what I need to work on faster.
So, question from the chat, Matt: are you big on the history of the game, and what does it mean to you to have your name on the same trophy as Hogan, Jones, Nicklaus, and Woods?
I mean, I'm not. I wouldn't say I am, to be honest. No, I'm not really big on the history. It's obviously an absolute honour to be on the same trophy as those players. It means a lot. It's when I've had the trophy, I had it for the first 3, 4, 5 days, and I'll be honest, I didn't even look at the other names. Obviously, the one name that I wanted to find was Tiger Woods, but the rest of I was just kind of looking at my own name and kind of just seeing like, wow, it's actually on there, and just holding the trophy more than anything. I wasn't interested about anything else, but it's just like, it's mine. So I think, but sort of since then, I've been looking around and looking at who's on there, and it is amazing. It really is. But for me, I'm just trying to sort of focus on my own stuff and what I do myself, really.
Should we do a few quick fire questions before we get on to the blades? Very conscious of time. Did you have any negative thoughts standing over the bunker shot on 18? Yes or no?
Yes. Not stood over it, but before I'm like, I don't want this shot. Like any other shot, I've been rubbish at these. So, but during it, I was just like, I'm just gonna hit it. Like I wasn't thinking of anything really. I was just gonna hit it, just some technical things, and that's it. Excellent.
Which was a better feeling, winning the US Open or watching Sheffield United getting promoted?
Winning the US Open. It's not even. There's nothing that I like. I've been asked before, like Sheffield United to win the Champions League or you to win a major, and I'm always like, oh, well, that's a really tough one. And now it's like it's not even close. It's like not even...
Good man. The Sheffield United one is not happening, is it? So
best bit of banter between you and Billy that you can share.
I can't share any of it. No, he's just funny. He's just a funny man, He's just got lots of stories, and he tells a lot of good stories on Sevi, basically.
Very good. Who's your idol? And outside of the country club, what's your favourite golf course?
I mean, I would say just I always wanted Tiger Woods to win when I was younger. Tiger was always the guy that I watched, but since being out here, it's a little bit different. I think if I'm being honest, like since winning, and sort of everything that's come with that, and sort of looking around at the other players that I know who've won majors and multiple majors, you know, I've got so much more respect. And I mean, I already had a lot of admiration for him, but just even more like levels of respect for Rory. You know, he's just a first class act, and he's to win 4 majors, to have everything that comes with that. Now he's kind of like sort of leading the tour and the players on this whole situation that we won't talk about, and he's just he's the man. So I'd honestly, I'd probably say him. You know, if I could follow in his footsteps, it wouldn't be in too bad a place.
Very good.
And
when did
question
your
that-
sorry, go ahead. I'm
No,
just going to ask
no.
a question about a brother, about Alex. When did your brother first beat you at golf, and what advice have you given him as he kicks off his professional career as he did last week?
I'm still waiting for him to beat me, but no, I don't know. I honestly can't remember. I honestly can't remember. He didn't probably play up. He maybe did beat me and probably didn't play up to it as much as he should have. But yeah, my advice to him, just be consistent and work hard. You know, it's too easy to come out here and, you know, manufacturer wants you to try this club and sponsor says this and that, and you know, you just got to be consistent and work hard and sort of try and keep your head down and do it your own way. So that's sort of been my advice to him, that he's got to do that to get the best out of his game.
Do you think he can go all the way, Matt?
I think he's got the talent. Yeah, he genuinely has the raw talent. You know, I'll be honest, he has more talent than me. That some of the shots he can hit, they are special. But you know, it's not easy. It's if it was, everyone would be doing it. And I just think he's got to find a way to figure it out. And it's still new. You know, last week was the first ever week of being a professional golfer for him. So. It's all a learning experiences, and you've got to learn fast on this job. It's otherwise, you know, you won't be out here for long. So, but I think he's got the talent, and if he can just sort of tweak a few things, I don't see why not. He'll be all right.
And he was at Wake Forest?
He was, yeah.
Which is where Jennifer Kupcho was, I think.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
Very good. So in the chat, we've got one. If you could win one claret jug or green jacket. I guess slightly version of that. What's the target? How many majors do you now want to win?
So this has been a bit of a thing in the media, apparently, that I've told people.
Saw that.
6.
Six. I saw that.
That's what everyone said. But what it was kind of a joke that's now got out of hand, because me and my best friends basically came up with a category that if you win 6 majors, you are a legend of the game, right? So that's obviously got out somehow, and now people think that I'm aiming for 6. Now, of course, I'm aiming for 18. Realistic, you know, but I'm being realistic about it. It's you know, I'm just trying to win as many as I can. You know, I've not really set a target for it. If I get to 6, then I'm a legend of the game. So in our self-created league, but
definition,
I'm just. I'm just trying to play as well as I can at each one that comes to me. But yeah.
And is there a particular one that would suit you more than others?
I mean, if I'm honest, I've always thought the US Open was the one that suited me the most. It really was, and I would say after that, I'd probably, it is between the Masters and the Open. The Open probably has to be set up right for me, and has to have good weather. In terms of the weather, it has to be difficult, in my opinion, for me to do really well. No reason why I can't not otherwise, but I feel like that way gives me a good chance. And then Augusta is I guess kind of similar. You know, I'd like it to be sort of tough when we play there, and can take advantage of that.
Yeah. I should actually apologise for the marshalling on the 18th at the Open this year, because my son is one of the students doing it. So if you find it a bit rowdy, that's why.
If he's on the right, as long as he kicks my ball back in, if he's going out that way,
I'll mention it to him. Yeah.
Thanks.
So now the really important stuff. So obviously the blades are the second best team in the championship wearing red and white stripes. What are your thoughts for the coming season?
Well, I think we're signing a few players, so that's a good start. But
players are useful, yeah.
So, but we'll see. We'll see. I I think it'll be better. We'll have to get off to a better start than last year. Last year was a bit of a mess. But I think this year it will be okay. I think if we can at least challenge for playoffs again, I think it'll be a good season.
Good stuff. Dave, any other questions?
We've got a couple of questions. Just rip through them. Very conscious of everybody's time. Lot of chat, Matt, about some of the most celebrated British golfers, like Colin Montgomery, Lee, to name but a few, to never have won a major. What do you think was the most important thing for you in overcoming the mental challenge that you faced last week?
I don't really know what the most important. I think for me, like, my game was trending for a while, and I think like I said, I've been in positions before, in winning positions before, and won. And I know now, like, a major is another level. But I think my experience at the USPGA probably helped me more than I ever realised up until the time of the US Open. And I think learning from that about being consistent with routine, commitment, and just being patient and doing what I'm doing. I think that was the biggest thing that I learned and sort of took into the US Open.
I see a couple of comments around the chipping. Saw Thomas Peters messing around with it on the practice green last weekend. Have you seen many others giving it a go? And did you prep them for the first couple of shanks that they were going to hit?
Yeah. So Thomas is coached by my coach Mike Walker as well. So
yeah.
Thomas knows what he's doing with it. But I've told anyone who tries it, it's going to be a shank or a top or something. First of all, you just got to give it some time.
Very good. What one piece of advice would you give a good amateur to help them elevate their game? I understand this is just into a single figure handicap golfer.
I would, practice 10 foot and in putting. Yeah, that's where that makes the biggest difference. Practice 10 foot and in, and that's where you'll improve your score.
Two to go. Are there any biomechanical pieces of equipment that you've dedicated a lot of your game to, maybe outside of the stack, or are there any common trends you see in amateur golfers which biomechanical feedback would significantly improve?
One I would say is no, I don't have any biomechanical equipment that I use like regularly. And then two, I would say everyone tries to hit it too hard. So I think getting the timing of the shots better, more important first, and then once you get better timing, then you can hit it faster. So. And
should everyone be putting with the flag in? Because you're not the only person who does.
It depends how thick the flags are. The flags are thick today, and it showed, because that's why I missed loads of putts.
That's the best excuse I've heard for
there you go.
putting.
There you
go. Flags too thick.
That one's free. That one's free, Lindsay.
Yeah.
And the overarching sentiment in the chat, Matt, is just huge congratulations. You have huge support, I know, globally, but certainly here in the UK, we were all cheering for you, and I think everybody's super proud of you, and wish you all the best for the rest of the season. It's unbelievable what you've done, and you should be really proud of yourself. So thanks for doing great.
Appreciate that. Thank you, guys, and thanks for your time.
Thanks very much. Thanks everyone. Cheers.
Good. Thank you everybody for making the time. Hope you've enjoyed it. Good luck, Matt, this week.